All right, what we're working with today is section 1.6, which is angle pairs. The first thing we have is adjacent angles. And adjacent angles, you should know what the word adjacent means. Some of you might be sitting adjacent to a classmate. Adjacent means that you're next to. And so for adjacent angles, it's angles that are next to each other. They have a shared vertex and leg. So this is my shared vertex, angle D. But then my shared leg is this ray DB. So these two angles are adjacent, and down below is how you can write them. So adjacent angles are next to each other. The next type of angle pair we have is a linear pair. And a linear pair is kind of what it sounds like. Linear is another word for line. So a linear pair are adjacent angles that form a line. So angle A and B are adjacent angles. They're next to each other, and they form the straight line that is 180. So a linear pair is adjacent angles that form a line. The next thing we have is vertical angles. Vertical angles is a relationship you'll see a lot with in geometry. And vertical angles are non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. They're opposite each other. So this top angle is vertical with this bottom one. They're both blue. And if you notice, they have two tick marks because that means those angles are equal. Just like the red angles, the left angle is equal to the angle on the right. Those are vertical angles and they are equal. So vertical angles are top, bottom, left, right, and they are equal to each other. The next type we have is complementary. So you should be familiar with complementary and supplementary. Complementary and supplementary from maybe middle school. It gets confusing to remember which comes which, so complementary then supplementary. The best way to remember is that it's alphabetical. C comes before S in the alphabet, so C complementary is the smaller angles. These are two angles that add up to 90. Now one thing that's important to remember is that they can be next to each other, they can be adjacent, but they don't have to be. So this picture right here on the right is an example of complementary angles that are not adjacent. So complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90. Supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180. So C is 90, S is 180. So supplementary, two angles that have a sum of 180. So here's a pair that's adjacent on the left. And then the one on the right are two that are not adjacent, but they still add up to 180. So supplementary and complementary do not have to be adjacent, but they have to have that correct sum. So complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. And then the other words, a quick review. Adjacent means that they're next to each other. Linear pair form a line, two angles that form a line. And vertical angles are top, bottom, left, and right.